The one-day Vice Chancellor position is one of the most prestigious student leadership positions at Bowen University. It's one day, one seat to lead like the VC and prove exactly what student leadership looks like. In all honesty, I knew I was always going to run since I was in 100 level and I saw the first set of people do it. I think at the time it was Ajayi John, Opeyemi, and Dianu. I had a feeling I was going to run, but I made up my mind even from then that I was not going to run without a vision or a purpose behind it. There had to be something real, something that I was gunning for, something that was pushing me, besides, of course, being in the Vice Chancellor's car. I wasn't running for a title. I was running to show exactly what leadership with clarity, execution, and system could look like. Because I've always believed that the goal of any leadership position is not just to say high-sounding words, it's to build, to create something that would last beyond the applause. I mean, when all of that is said and gone, to build something that will be long-lasting. So I started with my regular phrase, the distinction will be clear. Yeah, I did that right. Okay, I thought it was from here to here. Now, a side note, a lot of people ask me where exactly I got the phrase from and how exactly I came up with it, whether I used ChatGPT to come up with it. So I was in 100 level, yeah. I was praying one day and, reading the scriptures. I opened to Malachi chapter 3, verse 18. I came across that verse and it struck me. I mean, when I finished reading it, I knew that there was something that was there for me. And the text basically said, and you would again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. And the phrase just rang in my head, the distinction will be clear. And that's where, where all of this started from and when I started using it. Now, getting to the position where people would be able to vote for me and I'd be able to actually contest for the position wasn't automatic. It wasn't that, I had a vision or I had a dream to become the one-day Vice Chancellor and immediately I could just, get there. There were stages because obviously there were a lot of people that wanted that position. So there were 4 stages. The first stage was a form. It was an application form. That was, really basic. They just asked some questions, where have you interned at before? What experience do you have in leadership? What books have you read? How many books have you read? Etc. I almost missed the application because, I was taking my time. I started it, and I didn't just fill it all at once. It was a span of a couple days. Not because it was anything deep. I just wanted to really take my time because I thought they would screen people out from there. I think at the application stage, we're about 50 that applied for, that filled the application form and stuff, so that was that. Then they didn't screen anybody from that. The next stage was a computer-based test. So they told us they were going to ask us some questions on general studies, English, I think, some politics, if I'm not mistaken, things along that line, and of course stuff that had to do with leadership and then Bowen University. I think they gave a cutoff. Did they give it? I don't think they gave a cutoff mark. It was basically only XYZ people would qualify or move to the next stage. I think that's what it was, right? So I wrote it, and the timer, it was 100 questions, and I really don't want to lie or exaggerate, but I think it was about, was it 10 minutes or 15? Something ridiculous, basically. So I was just going and everything, and we're all in a group chat. When they were going to announce who was going to move to the next stage, I would always be like, oh God, the boys and I would gather, you guys, they're about to send this thing. Right? I would just look, and I qualified from the computer-based test. Well, the next one was a book review. So the book that we chose that impacted us the most from the application stage, they told us to write a book review on it. They gave us a criteria on what exactly it should be like and all the rest. And, I haven't written essays in a long time. So I think that was one of, the ones that, was a bother to me. But it wasn't so much of a bother because the book I chose, has impacted me so much that I can talk about it. I've spoken about it a lot of times. It's 12-week Year by Brian Moran, basically shifting your idea of setting goals for a year to setting goals every 12 weeks. Then after we had a penultimate stage, I passed that stage, but I think I was the second to the last person to qualify. Oh my God. I remember for the book review, I wasn't in school. I served as an executive in school last session. So we're on official assignments and everything, and someone just said, you guys, this thing don't drop. I now checked my phone. My heart was pounding because there were different positions separate from the one-day Vice Chancellor. There was a one-day chaplain, the one-day bursar, one-day registrar, etc. They will send their own first. The one-day Vice Chancellor is the one they will send last, and I was God, please, Eshanu me. right? And I saw my name. I think it was second to the last of people that qualified. So they'll put a tick, green tick for those that qualified, and a sharp X for those that missed out on that. And I qualified, and I was so excited. I was so excited. I remember I screamed or something, right? I was really excited. That's one battle down. And the reason I was really excited about that was I did the book review when I was sick. I had malaria. So it was the morning of the deadline that I did it. I just pushed myself. And of course, you can't use ChatGPT because I don't know if they would use an AI checker and all the rest. So yeah, that was that. Then there was the next stage. And this one was now physical. Everything that we had been doing up until this point, in the comfort of our rooms, our homes. In fact, you could even, I'm not going to say this, but someone else could be doing these things for you, right? Like, the book review, you could have given it to, if you have a number of a Harvard lecturer, I can just give it to a Harvard lecturer to do it for you. Same thing with the CBT test. Someone can sit down for you because we did it on our laptops, right? Maybe this is a flaw. And I'm sure the people that want to run next year will be saying, why? What's your problem, this boy? Why are you saying this? If anybody in the school management is watching, maybe that's something you can change. Right? But this one, the next stage was physical. So we went to the Senate building, a lot of us that had qualified, and all of us wore suits to come, if I'm not mistaken. Because we didn't know what we're to expect. And they gave us a sheet of paper. I said, Jesus, an exam. Power. You're a sheet of paper, and the question was simple. This is summary. It wasn't exactly like this. But how exactly can you move Bowen University forward? Write a 3-step agenda to do that. And you have a lot of financial constraints. And the end goal is to move Bowen University forward in that it's able to rank higher than a number of the private universities that are competing against it. Oh my days. That was because they hadn't given us the question before. All of us saw the question the first time, and it was crazy. We don't have the ability to spend as much money as we want to, so there's a lot of financial constraints, and I'm just wondering. And then we had a limited amount of time to answer that I was writing. Oh my days. So what I did was I wrote my 3-step agenda. What I did plan to do if I became one day Vice Chancellor, I didn't think of anything extra. I just wrote it, copy and paste. And for me, what that was if I failed, if I didn't move on to the next stage, then maybe my agenda was not good enough and I'll try again some other time. But if I succeeded, it means that the school probably thought that what it is that I had in mind to do was really good and was achievable. So that was what I did. I just wrote that. And then the results came out and I passed as well. And there was the final stage. I think we were 6 that qualified to the final stage. And they were only going to take 4 people. So 2 people they were going to. It was a physical interview. So we had that. They asked questions. And to God be the glory. For this one, they didn't send us a message. It was in Wednesday Chapel, right? In front of 5,000 students. They announced the 4 people that qualified. And you'll see the video somewhere. I don't know if the video will be there. I hope I have the video. But I was the last person they called. They called the first person. What was the first person they called? Ayobami. The second person they called was, I think, Tumininu. The third person was Prince. And I was, so you could imagine how I was seated when they were calling the third person. I was like, I only have 1 slot. There's only 1 slot left. Because I didn't know what to expect, man. I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, that was that. These were the stages to eventually get to the point where people could vote. And then I know on the outside, a lot of people think that it's glamorous, but it's so tough. It's so difficult. I knew lots of people that went out of the various stages, and I'm talking about brilliant people. I think what this did was it humbled me, because I saw brilliant people leave. I saw popular people leave. I saw all sorts of people, and I'm like, oh God, thank you so much. Before the stages, and even during the stages, there were moments that almost broke me, right? Moments that I genuinely considered stepping down, and I'm not even joking. I was scared, because I thought that if certain people, amongst people that I was seeing that were going for the position, if they qualified, I was cooked. Like, I didn't stand a chance. That was what I thought. I was really scared that, okay, even if I did get there, people will not see the value in what I had to offer, that, it might maybe just be a popularity contest and stuff. But then I had people in my corner, I had friends, tell me that, like, don't worry about this. People know you. And I think I don't know if it's an issue, if it's a good thing or it's a neutral, but I don't know the extent to how much people know me and know the work that I do. Of course, I know in school that people know me, but I don't know to what extent. Like, people always tell me, and I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. So, my guys they were just reassuring me. I'm like, okay, don't worry, like it's going to work, right? It's going to work and stuff. So, I pushed on, and I decided that I was only going to focus on the things that I could control, right? And what I could control was how I showed up. That all the people, my contestants, even the people that were going to vote, they should worry about what they want to worry on. And I was going to worry about the things that I could control, how I showed up, the things that I would say, and how I present myself to people. And that was it. So we showed up. I built a core team, 7 people, 7 weapons, including me, 8 people that needed to shake this school in just 5 days. Campaign started on Wednesday, 12 p.m. That's on the day that we were announced as the people that were going to contest for the positions. Voting was going to begin on Friday by 8 a.m. and it was going to end on Monday by 8 a.m. So we had literally just 48 hours from when they announced us to when voting was going to commence to move the needle. I made up my mind that it wasn't going to be a vibe campaign. Like, it wasn't just going to be people shouting my name and all the rest. The idea was that people in the school shouldn't just know who Tega Aberi is and what he's running for, but that they should know me and the work that I plan to do, so much so that 1, they'd be able to vote immediately voting commences, and then 2, they'd be willing to go around telling people to vote for me. So to do that, I made sure that every single member of my core team could recite our agenda word for word. We're not just going to go out and tell people to vote, we're going to give them ample reasons why. And they had rebuttals for it. If someone said this is what exactly you should say back, and all the rest. Like, all of them knew exactly what it is that we're going to do. And not just them, even my roommates. So I always say I have like 2 rooms, so even my roommates knew it. I remember when one night we went out to campaign and everything, and one of my guys was beside me and he was convincing the person why they should vote for me. And I believe he was doing it better than I was doing it. And I was like, okay, this is interesting, and this probably was going to help us win. If the people that are going out for me are not just saying, vote for him, see what he has done in the past, that's good, right? But this is what he wants to do now. And all my core members knew how to recite, my agenda word for word. Now, the strategy was simple. Touch every base point on campus, every single base point on campus. I mean, from hostels, every single room, to cafeterias, to classes, everywhere, and do this again and again and again. No matter how much progress we thought we had made, we're going to continue to do this, right? And we're not going to slow down till the very last vote. So if we went out and we went to meet someone, vote for me, or have you voted? And they say, yes, I voted. And we do that and we see like 10 people that say they voted, then maybe we can rest a bit. But if there are still people that have not picked up their phones to vote, then there's still a lot of work to do. Another thing that we did was we reached out to 10 departmental presidents to make an endorsement video for us. We reached out to some of the influencers on campus. Then we had male and female delegates in every hostel. Maybe not every single one, but we had a majority of the hostels in case I couldn't go to all the hostels. I mean, I went to every male hostel myself, of course, myself and my guys, but I could not obviously go to the female hostel. So that's the point of delegates, that when I can't be there, because obviously I'm not omnipresent, so when I can't be there, we have people that are mounting pressure. And we're not promising noise. We didn't have a speaker. I promise you this is not a shit, but we didn't have a speaker. We're not going around, shouting and all the rest. Again, nothing wrong with that. I don't know, it's just kind of person that I am. We're just meeting people individually, meeting groups of people, having one-on-one conversation, telling them the things that we plan to do, and just trying to convince them to come on our side. And genuinely, I wish this was where it ended. I really do, but there was a lot of backlash, right? People said, Tega is proud. Someone said something, Tega is a bourgeoisie. I have no idea what that means, even till now. But I asked my friend, and he said that it means Tega only talks to high-class people. So okay. That's very interesting. I have a very high self-esteem. Very few things get to me, but oh my God. I think it was in this period that I realized that what people say matter. They matter a lot. They matter like mad, right? And I was just hearing it from different people, different places, and all the rest, and I was wondering. Then another annoying one that I heard was, Tega is going to, when my guys and I were going to campaign, Tega is going to win. So let's vote for somebody else so they can get second position. Are you finding your head? Because if everybody thinks like that and says that, then I eventually will not win. Because the only way I can win is by votes. And if everybody thinks I've already won, then I'm not going to win, right? So we had to now we had to add that to some of the things that my people were going to say when we meet people. Like, oh, that's not how it works. If everybody says this, all these things, But the one that pissed me off the most is Tigger does not smile. We're talking about something serious. I say you don't vote for me. Are you okay? Respectfully speaking, are you fine? It was so annoying. In fact, my core team, they would say, okay, Tigger, during this period, go to places and just be smiling. I just be walking around this school, I just be smiling. That would piss me the most, because I was wondering from where to where. Like, what are we talking about? What are you saying? You carry post, you put it here. Like, it was so annoying, right? But well, that was that. At some point, I felt that the air was thick with criticism. I thought that that's what everyone was saying. But looking back in retrospect, I realized that it was just a few loud voices that were saying that, right? Because the people who believed in me and believed in what we were going to do, they didn't always shout, right? But they moved. And that was one of the things that was most important to me. I remember we were seeing a lot of things that were hurtful or hateful, as it were. One evening, my guy Chibike, he just came to me, showed me. He said, Tigger, see what someone said about you. And I sent it to my core team, and they said, we are going to report, because obviously, if you say stuff that are bad, I don't mean you're proud, I mean like actual, derogatory stuff, you run the risk of being disqualified. And my guys told me, let's go and report. And I told them something. I said, one, that's not interesting, because if they disqualify somebody and then I win because of that, then, so I told them we're going to win fair and square. We're not going to retaliate. We're not going to insult anybody. We're not going to, even if we think some people's ideas are not the best, we're not going to say that. We're just going to push our agenda forward and we're going to win fair and square. And then the day came, Wednesday, the 14th of May, 2025. The results were going to be announced. That morning, I wasn't too anxious. I was a bit tense, but not too anxious. The boys were already saying, don't worry, we have this in the bag. I remember that night, I wish we had a video of this. But I remember that night, the boys and I, that's my roommates and I, we were thinking of if we win, what song are we going to play? And this boy said that we should play John Cena, right? I'll ask Isha to put the lyrics on the screen. So we should play the theme song for John Cena. John Cena said, you can't see me. That's what he used to say. This will be wicked. It will be wild. It will be dangerous. I like it. But one, it's chapel. Two, it would look very disrespectful, right? Because those lyrics are wicked. So it would look very disrespectful. So I told them, no, John, let's just play Christian song. So I think we played Judah. We decided that if we're going to win, that's what we're going to play. I sent it to my core team. See what the guys are saying. They are saying that we should use John Cena. And they were like, yes. They like bad things. People around me is bad things they like. They cannot spot me. They can know. I think we should just, maybe play, oh, Mema, you're always on time. But that's that chap. So I went to chapel early. I sat down. All my guys were with me. Like, they decided they were going to come sit down with me and everything. Like, everyone, my core team members, the 2 rooms, all of us were together and wanted to mount pressure. But something that I told my team before we started was, let's give this every single thing. Let's leave no stone unturned. Let's go to every room. Let's talk to every person that we see. Let's not rest, right? Because regardless of the outcome, we want that at the end, we're saying, even if we lost, but we tried our best. There was literally nothing else we could do. Maybe we're not predestined. That's the reason why there wasn't so much pressure on my end, because especially on Saturday, the boys and I, like the boys I'm talking about now are like my 3 actually. Chibike, Adeogo and Pelumi, and then Praise, right? We went out one Saturday, the Saturday before the voting was meant to end. Voting was meant to end on Monday, so on Saturday we went out. I had not showered that morning, and I came out of my hostel. We went to one male hostel, and we went to every single room that morning. Mind you, we had a video before. I ministered the video at that video, and I acted in a drama at that video. And then I got back to my hostel by 4 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. We woke up around 8 or 9, and we were pushing. I only brushed my teeth, right? And we were just pushing. Went to that hostel. After the hostel, went to the other side of the campus, and we're doing shoot on sites. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry that we saw, we're talking to them, right? And we had our phones. 3 of us had phones, okay. You can't vote on your phone. Here you go. You can, no pressure. We're not forcing anyone. We'll convince them, and just do that. Went to every single room on that other side. Every single person that we saw outside. Like, we literally stood in front of the cafeteria. Anyone coming out, have you voted? Anyone going in, have you voted? We saw some people a couple times. Some people, they snubbed us. With my anointing and my grace, someone passed me. Like, I asked, and she almost eyed me and passed me. No problem. But that's what we did, right? I was wearing slippers. Anyone that saw me that day would know that I never leave my hostel like that. I was wearing slippers and tracks and a t-shirt. I don't even know if I combed my hair. We did that from morning till about 6 p.m. And then, my friend, Praise, went to about 50 rooms. It's like, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So it wasn't that I was trusting in our efforts. It was more so, let's do every single thing possible, humanly possible, and then let's hope in the mercies of God. So regardless of what happens, that was that. And then it came the moment. I remember people were anxious, like, the entire school, right? Oh, finish chapel fast. Let's get to why we came here. I'm joking. That's not why we come to chapel. This is what we came here for today, right? And they called all the other positions, one day chaplain, one day librarian, one day registrar, etc. And they said, and our one day vice chancellor. Take a break. Jesus Christ. I wasn't even thinking at that point. I just walked up to the stage. I did a little jog. Of course, the boys and my core team, they were with me. And man, it was crazy. I was just hearing applauses and stuff. And then I did like a golf thing, right? Some people asked like, what exactly was that? I don't know. I wasn't really thinking much. But then I think it points to, my phrase, the distinction would be clear. I think that's what it was pointing to, the golf thing. I was just really excited, and I heard, people were shouting, I did the golf thing, and then people shouted, well, like, okay, but yeah, it was really, really surreal experience. But then later that evening, something hit me. That joy and ecstasy that I was feeling when they called my name was slowly fading away. And I was like, so all of the things that we did, the sleepless nights, the backlash, all of that, I don't really feel excited any longer. And then it reminded me why exactly I made sure I had a vision before I began to run. Because it wasn't just for vibes. There had to be something driving me. So now, the day that I'm meant to assume office is 1 week from now. I'm no longer as excited. So something else must push me. And it was the assignment, what we could achieve, what we could do, and the people especially that I could inspire. At the interview, they asked me why I wanted to run. Me, I don't like anybody that knows me. I'm not that serious. I said I want to run because I want to inspire people. That was what I said, and that was one of the reasons why I was scared that they would not pick me. Like, what's this guy saying? I'm sure some people were there saying, "Oh, because they have great plans and everything." Guy, your plans, they can still happen if you are not there. Right, so it was really because I wanted to inspire people, and that's why I ran when I was in 300 level instead of waiting till my final year. Some people ask me now, why don't you just wait? It's because I wanted to show people you can do difficult things from an inconvenient place, and that was what was driving me at this point. So the day came, the 24 hours I held office. It taught me way more than I expected. I saw how heavy leadership truly is. I saw how deep students' needs run, like how far they go, and how layered the responsibilities of the administration can be. I think on that day, I really, really appreciated the school because on the front end, it's always easy to complain. They're not doing anything. They don't care about the things that we're saying. But being able to be on that seat, it gave me so much clarity. Like, things are not always as they seem. And on the back end, there's a lot of people that genuinely want to see the progress of students and are working tirelessly to do that. Sometimes maybe all we need is patience and just communication, really. So we had high-level meetings at the VC's lodge. We went to the clinic to see some students that were in pain, to pray for some of them, say hi to some of them. We had conversations with those that needed the opportunity, those that wanted to present their businesses to the school. We guided them, showed them how they could go about it. I had meetings with different people in the Senate, from the DSSS, and so on and so forth. I felt the weight of it all. But then I was not alone. I got to work with some of the best people I have ever met. The one-day management team. Tumininu, my one-day vice chancellor, reliable and solid. To be very honest, I was a bit shaky when going into office, working with her especially, because the deputy vice chancellor is the person that is the first runner-up amongst the 4 people that were voted. It's not a position on its own, as it were. So I was thinking, we're competing, now we're going to have to work together. What's that going to look like? But she's such a solid person and so reliable. I remember her walking into, my office a couple times and saying, ODVC sir, do you need anything? And I'm like, this is really, really, really amazing. Then we had Lotte Chuku, the registrar. Organized and intentional. There's almost nothing that passes by her, right? She's seen everything, taking note of everything, and providing solutions to those things. Solid lady. Then we had Anu, the bourser. She's always thinking ahead. I remember when we had a meeting with the actual Vice Chancellor and the actual principal officers, and she was offering some suggestions as to how, we can move the school forward in terms of agriculture and all the rest. And I was like, what? How on earth are you thinking like this? Right? So, really amazing. Then we had Nasara, our librarian. Nasara is my guy. I was rooting for her from the jump. Right? Very sharp and dependable, especially since I've worked with her, before. I wanted her to help me with some of the plans that I had. Really, really, really solid. Then Eri, the one-day chaplain, dogged man of God. He had an agenda, and we were the last people to leave office. And I'm sure it's because I wanted to go that he had to go. Right? If I didn't go, you probably still, or if it didn't matter, you probably still have been in office. He said he needed to make sure that he fulfilled the promise that he made. And that spoke a lot of volumes to me. It's a team I'll never forget. And if I was to ever do this type of thing again, it would only be because of the team that I had to work with. But at some point, I began to get overwhelmed. That's on the day, right? Not really from pressure, but from the speed of the clock. Like, 1 minute I woke up, I was dressed, went to have breakfast. Next thing you know, it's chapel. Next thing you know, it's afternoon. Next thing you know, it's evening. And I'm like, the clock just kept on running. Like I said, I understood how deep student needs run. Like, everything was coming to me, and I'm like, how can I solve all of this? I just couldn't. I just couldn't attend to every single need that came to my table. There were people that said they wanted to see me that I didn't get to see. If you are watching this, I'm just a boy. That was the pressure. There was so much I wanted to do with so little time, especially because of the bureaucracy, the protocol, some things that simply just couldn't happen within 24 hours. You have to submit a proposal, get it back, etc. But then one thing I got to understand, as frustrating as that was, I realized that it's better that the system is run that way, that the Vice Chancellor really just can't say, this should be done, and it's done immediately. Like, there's a protocol. I think it's for the safety of the school and the students at large. So, I really got to appreciate that. But then, even with those limits, we still try to make the day count and have a lot of impact as possible. But in the middle of all of this, individually, we built stuff, and then collectively, we're still able to do really, really good work. We pushed out some proposals that we got from students that we thought were really, really good. And then, amongst other things, we built working systems. So like I said, we had the Bowen Academic Lifeline, the alumni career drop, that's to help students access internship and NYC placement from Bowen alumni, the Innovation Hub, to help student founders, people that have startup ideas, go from initiation to execution, and the Changemakers Challenge, basically people submitting their ideas and how they can change the school. And we addressed all of those. And these weren't just ideas, they were blueprints, things that could run even after we had left office. And even though our time was short, we made sure that the impact we were going to make was long lasting. And for any Bowen student watching this and wondering, all these things that you said, where are they? In this comment section, you're going to see a lot of these things roll out, and I'm super, super excited for that. I want to, just use this opportunity to thank the school management for the opportunity to do this. We already have student leadership on campus, so we don't need to do this. But it gives a lot of students the opportunity to experience what this looks like from the highest level possible. Dr. Abel, for everything. I ran my ideas by him before. For every single thing. My parents, my siblings, especially my parents. My father paid for my suits, paid for my flyer designs, paid for the video editing, paid for everything, man. Daddy, thank you. My designer, that design was wicked. That design was too good. Stood it. I'll try to put as many of these people's bits, especially those selling stuff. My video editor for the video that I made, the agenda video, Red1, Rinzo shot it. BBSF executives, Enyolua, Helma, Omole David. Promise. Hey, Adekunle Promise. Omoyami. That guy, he too try for me. No. Those guys are solid, man. Those guys are solid. Solid guys. I had really lots of, solid people backing me up. My course mates, The president of my department, Shafi, my roommates, solid guys. I mean, we had a test on the day that we started the voting. We're going around that room instead of us to read, right? I didn't even read. I left that test alone. But the guys, they were reading as we're going around. Solid guys. The editor of this video, Ishe Oluwa, my inner circle, were 7. Let me try to mention all their names: Adeogu, Lashe, Chibike, Belumi, Shali, MJ, Praise Korolaja, and then, solid guys. We didn't have a single final year person in our, and that's not even to flex, like it was a mistake. Like I didn't think of it. We didn't have a single final year person on our core team, but these guys, solid. Maybe some of the most unassuming people, but I mean, we did it. And then of course my campaign manager, Praise Korolaja. Just to note, I was the first ever third year student to do this. Every other person had either been in final year or had left the school, come back, or were in 400 level as it were. But I was the first, third year student. So I mean, again, I think that's a little bit inspiring for some people. And if this journey taught me anything, it's this: you don't really need a year to lead, or a long time. Sometimes one day is enough, especially if you lead it with vision, with discipline, and with heart. So if you're watching this wondering if you're too young, if your idea is too small, or if your dream is too big, here's your reminder: start, build, move. And when the work is done, let the results speak. Because if you do it right, the distinction will be clear.
Good morning, Bowen University. It's great to be in your midst this morning as your one-day Vice Chancellor.
Vice Chancellor and President Officer, salute! Salute!
The point is that you make a decision to do something difficult, and that even if it doesn't work your way, that you eventually realize that it was worth taking. Because like I've always said in the past, the distinction will be clear.
Guys look really good. I just want to wish you congratulations. Happy